بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. This is our 15th class, the middle of Ramadan, on the chapter of fasting from the book Zaad al-Mustaqni, and we're doing in-depth detailed lessons, as you can see. The author, where we left off yesterday, was talking about the obligatory fast and its intention, the intention for the obligatory fast. So once you finish that, now today he's talking about the nafil fast. وَيَصِحُّ النَّفْلُ بِنِيَّةٍ مِّنَ النَّهَارِ قَبْلَ الزَّوَالِ وَبَعْدَهُ. Non-obligatory fasts are valid if the intention is made during the day, whether it's before noon or afternoon. So he moved on to talk about intention in non-obligatory fast because it's different than intention in obligatory fast. Someone woke up, he didn't eat, drink, he didn't have no sexual relationship with his wife. It's 3 in the afternoon. He said, you know what, it's winter. Maghrib comes in about 5 o'clock. He said, I didn't do nothing to break my fast. Let me change this to be for the sake of Allah. He can do that. He can change his intention. That's permissible in nafil fasting. Now the proof for that is the hadith when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked in on Aisha radiallahu anha, and he said, do you have anything to eat? She said, no. He said, then I am fasted. That's the key word. فَإِنِّي صَائِمٌ. Then I'm fasting means, from that term, فَإِنِّي صَائِمٌ, he initiated the fast during that day, right there. He initiated the fast right there in that day, right at that point. فَإِنِّي, then, meaning before that I wasn't. And that's the opinion of Imam Ahmad, Shafi'i, and Abu Hanifa, that if you didn't do nothing to break your fast in the start of the day, you can change your intention to making it a fast as a worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second opinion is by Malik, who said that you must have the intention the night before, just like an obligatory, a fard, a wajib fast. And he said the proof for that is the hadith. It's clear. No fasting is accepted for one who does not form the intention the night before. He said the hadith is clear on that. In the hadith he said, not only is it clear, it's general, it's broad. It's for fard and sunnah. So you must have the intention for a fard and sunnah the night before. However, the hadith of Aisha, the one that says, فَإِنِّي صَائِمٌ, then I'm fasting, that's specific. When we have hadith that appear, if you take these two hadith together, they may appear contradictory to each other. Now we can combine. If there's a way to combine, we combine. So we take the one Imam Malik used, no fasting is accepted for one who does not form intention to fast the night before. We take that hadith, so we can combine between those, to the obligatory fasting. And the action of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is clear on that. The hadith, فَإِنِّي صَائِمٌ by Aisha, the one he told Aisha, that's for a non-obligatory fast. Some ulama said, there's a third opinion, some ulama said, فَإِنِّي صَائِمٌ, the Messenger said it in the linguistic sense, in the figurative sense, not in the worship sense, meaning she didn't have nothing to eat. He said, then I'm fasting, but not in the worship sense. He meant it like, I'm not eating or drinking, I guess, for the rest of the day. Now the response to that is when the Messenger ﷺ speaks, it's taken in the Shar'i definitions, in the Shar'i context. We take it in the Shar'i context, not in the figurative, linguistic context. If there's no Shar'i meaning to it now, then yes, we can refer to the linguistic, figurative meanings of the words. But when there is a Shar'i meaning, and the Messenger ﷺ said it, we use the Shar'i definition. Does a person get full reward for the entire day or from the point where he decided to fast on? There's two opinions on that. Some ulama said you get reward for the full day, and the rationale behind that is that fasting is one worship. Per day, it's one worship. It's unbreakable, so you get the reward for the entire day. Another group of ulama said he only gets reward from that point where he made the intention on to the end of the day, to sunset. And that's probably the more correct of the two opinions. It really is supported by the meaning of the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. Actions are judged by intentions, and a man will only have what he intended. And a man will only have what he intended. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. Note, you have to keep in mind that if you intended on fasting at any point during the day, a nafil fast, you can't prior to that have eaten anything or drank anything or had relationship with your wife. You can't do that prior to that. If you did that, you cannot change your intention because you've did something to void your fast. You cannot change your intention. So it's only for people who from the start of the day didn't eat, drink, or do any or have sexual relationship with their wives or do anything to void the fast. Now the next point, the author, he said قبل الزوال وبعده, whether his intention is before noon or afternoon. Why did he say that? Sunnah fasts are valid if the intention is made during the day, whether it's before noon or afternoon. Why did he specify before noon or afternoon? Was there a need for that? The reason he stated that is because if you look in detailed books of fiqh, there's another opinion that says before noon, okay, you can go ahead with that and change your intention. Afternoon, no, you cannot do that. It's not permissible. They said because why? Why did you distinguish between before noon and afternoon? Because they said because afternoon, that most of the day had passed without the intention. So the rule is for the most. You know, a lot of this doesn't have textual proof, so they resort to rationale. They have to do that. They're saying one who initiates fast afternoon, he missed out on most of the day or a great portion of the day. And the great portion of the day is gone, so the day is gone, he can't change his intention. The author was correct, whether it's afternoon or before noon, it doesn't matter, because there's no proof to distinguish between changing the intention, whether it's before noon or afternoon. The next, the author says, وَلَوْ نَوَى إِنْ كَانَ غَدًا مِنْ رَمَضَانَ فَهُوَ فَرْضِ لَمْ يَجْزِهِ لَمْ يَجْزِهِ. If someone's intention is, now he goes back to talking about Ramadan. He made that statement clear about nafil fasting. Now he goes on back to talking about Ramadan. He says, if someone's intention is, if tomorrow's Ramadan, then it's my obligatory fast. He said, that's not sufficient intention. Someone went to sleep. He went to sleep early. He waited to see if they announced the next day's Ramadan. He couldn't wait. He has work the next day. He went to sleep early. Before he slept, his intention is in his heart, is that if tomorrow's Ramadan, I'll fast. If it's not Ramadan, I won't fast. The author said that type of intention is not acceptable. That day is not acceptable. He's hesitant. And his intention must be firm and determined. We already stated that before. We talked about intention before. We said the intention must be determined. You can't be hesitant. They said this is a hesitant intention. In another opinion by Imam Ahmad himself, and it was chosen by Ibn Taymiyyah, he said it's accepted. Because this person is not hesitant. Ibn Taymiyyah said he's not hesitant in fasting Ramadan. He's saying, I may fast and I may not fast. He's hesitant about Ramadan, not about his own fast. Meaning if tomorrow's Ramadan, I'm going to fast. But it may not be Ramadan. That's a very strong argument. If tomorrow's Ramadan, I'll fast. If otherwise, I will not. So if he knows tomorrow's Ramadan and he's hesitant, saying, I may fast tomorrow, I may not fast tomorrow, that's clearly invalid. He has to do the day over. Ibn Taymiyyah says if one is hesitant about Ramadan starting, yet has a determined intention to fast if it is Ramadan, then his fast is accepted. He has to sleep early for work. Or he fell asleep early by accident. He didn't know if they declared moon the next day. The moon was saw, or they seen it, or what they're going to do. So he sleeps early not knowing. But his intention is, if tomorrow is Ramadan, I'm going to fast. Otherwise, I'm not going to fast. He's not hesitant about fasting itself. He's hesitant about the day of Ramadan. Ibn Taymiyyah said that's acceptable. There's no problem with that. It's probably closer to being correct. وَمَنْ نَوَى الْإِفْطَارَ أَفْطَرَ. And if someone's intention is to break fast, he will break the fast. An intention to break fast breaks it. If you intend on breaking your intention, you're fasting, you intend on breaking the fast, you broke it. Why? But he didn't eat or drink. He just intended on breaking his fast. The proof, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions depend on the intention. That's how essential intention is. And a man will be rewarded only for what he intended. You intended on fasting, you fast. You intended on breaking your fast, you broke it. Intended, this is what the author is saying. Intended on breaking fast means you broke it. Likewise, intended on breaking salah means you broke it. When he means you broke it, it means not that you ate or drank, but you severed your niyyah. Severing your niyyah breaks your fast. Meaning, his intention was determined to break his fast, he broke it. If later on he decides not to eat and drink, decides to renew the niyyah during the day, he can renew the niyyah if he didn't eat or drink. As long as it's not Ramadan. Because in Ramadan, the intention must be performed the night before. So if he breaks it, he must abstain the rest of the day and make up that day. Some quick scenarios, for example, that pertain to this. If someone fasting breaks his intention, but then his wife, for example, tells him, there's only 2 hours left for Maghrib. Why don't you finish? He broke his intention. He was determined to break his fast. He renews his intention after his wife told him, you didn't eat or drink the whole day. You're going to break your fast an hour before Maghrib. In a nafil fast, that's accepted. But at what point does the ajr start from? The correct opinion is that his ajr starts from the point he renewed his intention last. Actions depend on intentions, and his deeds start from when his intention started. An issue. Someone is fasted, but he makes the intention, if I find water, I'm breaking my fast. If my wife makes dinner before Maghrib, I'm going to eat. It does not negate or break his fast in a scenario like that, because the intention was if he finds water, if he's presented with food. If that's not fulfilled, the fast is good, inshallah. And take this rule. Take this rule and keep it in your mind and highlight it. It'll help you a lot. If one firmly intends on leaving or breaking a ibadah, he broke it. There's a slight exception in Hajj and Umrah. But other than that, if one intends on breaking a ibadah, he broke it. Whoever intends to do something that breaks a ibadah, it's not broken unless he fulfills the intention. The example is just what I said. Someone fasting intends on drinking. He finds the water, but he never drinks. His fast is good. A next issue. Someone in Ramadan firmly intended on breaking his fast in Ramadan. We said if you firmly intend on breaking your fast, it's just as if you broke it. You broke it. That's it. Your day's over. You have to make it up. Can that person eat and drink in Ramadan? He intended. He didn't eat or drink. His intention, I'm done with this day. I'm determined. I'm done with this day. If it's among those exempted days of his, like he's sick or ill or traveling, then he can go ahead and eat for the rest of the day. Now, if he voided his fast, severed his fast, with no excuse, then this person has to abstain from food and water and everything that nullifies the fast for the rest of the day. And at the same time, after Ramadan, he has to make up that day. And on top of that, he gets sins for breaking the fast in a blessed, honored day like Ramadan. How did he break his fast? Eating and drinking? It was merely the intention. That was enough to sever and break his fast. Now we go on to a new chapter. باب ما يفسد الصوم ويوجب الكفارة. What invalidates the fast and requires expiation. Kafara, that which requires expiation. Now, the scholars, if you look at their books, they have unique terms for different matters. For example, the words nawaqid, mufsidat, mahdurat, all these words mean nullifiers. And they can be used interchangeably. All those words that I mentioned. However, fuqaha tend to choose one for each worship. For example, for salah, you can use nawaqid, mubtilat, mufsidat, mahdurat. Any one of those as nullifiers of salah would work. But if you go to the books of fuqaha, you will see the negators or nullifiers of wudu would be referred to as nawaqid, nawaqid al-wudu. The nullifiers of salah, mubtilat al-salah. That which nullifies sawm, mufsidat al-sawm. Hajj, mahdurat al-hajj. Now the author is going to teach us what voids fast and that which requires expiation, kaffara. There's three main matters that void fast that have an ijma' on, while everything other than these three is disputed. The three are the ones that are mentioned in the verse فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر. Now have sexual relations and eat and drink until the white thread of dawn appears to you distinct from the black thread. Meaning you can eat and drink till this point. After this point you have to stop. Sexual relationship, eating and drinking. Those have an ijma' on them. Everything else has a dispute. Those are the main voiders of fast that the ulama agreed upon. He said, matters that void fast in the beginning chapter of the book and that which require expiation. So the matters, he's going to tell us what voids the fast, and then he's going to tell us the kaffara. Kaffara, what does the kaffara mean? The expiation. That's what he said. He said, the expiation. What expiation? He used what we mentioned at least twice in our Ramadan halaqat. Al-kaffara means al-ahd al-dhihni. Al-ahd al-dhihni. That which you know what I'm talking about. The expiation, what expiation? The one you know about. The one commonly known when we're talking about this matter. Which is freeing a slave, or fasting 2 months, or feeding 60 poor people. And a student of ilm would know that by, what we said referred to as al-ahd al-dhihni. Now let's go over them one by one. The author says, the first one is man akala. Man akala. Eating is placing something into your stomach through the mouth. That's the overall definition of it. And this includes whether you eat something beneficial, enjoyable, or whether it's something harmful, or whether it's something neutral. Even though some ulama said it's only eating that which nourishes one, that's the only type that invalidates a fast. The correct opinion is the verse is general. So we keep it as that. Maybe beneficial, something you eat beneficial, or harmful, or neutral, doesn't matter. Anything that goes in your mouth down to your stomach is food. Regardless, whether it's beneficial, harmful, or neutral, even if someone takes poison. That's example of something harmful. It voids the fast. That's the first one. Then the author says, Man akala aw shariba. Whoever eats or drinks. It includes liquids. Whether they may be beneficial or harmful or useless or neutral, it doesn't matter. Water, soup, yogurt, milk, blood, poison, all that is included. And the proof for eating and drinking is the verse we stated. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا. Eat and drink until the time where you must stop. The ijma' and many hadith are also additional proof. Like the hadith al-Qudsi. He leaves his food, drink, and desires for me. In the hadith al-Qudsi that we took, I believe yesterday or the day before. So then the next one, the third one, is ta'ata. So he mentions food, water, We said those have ijma' on them. The next one is ista'ata, meaning using snuff. It's what reaches the stomach through the nasal passage. It's what you snuff. It's like, for example, today, nasal drops or medicine you drop in your nose or you snuff in your nose. It breaks the fast. And the proof on that is the hadith by Laqit radiallahu anhu, when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was advising him on wudu. He said, وَبَالِغْ بِالْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا. When he was telling him about wudu, he said, sniff water deep into the nose, except when you're observing fast. One shouldn't sniff water deep into his nose when he's observing fast, whether it's a sunnah or a wajib fast. So why? What's the reason? What's the illah? The reason is so it won't enter in you and void your fast. So the ulama said, and likewise everything else. If that's water during your wudu, then everything similar to that will also void your fast. The next one, he says, أو احتقن. This is the fourth one actually. أو احتقن. It means injecting something into the anus. Now احتقن means حقنة أو احتقن. It means the shot, the medical shot. That's not what we mean when we talk about. They didn't have that back then. احتقن means anus injections. They did have that back then. Why does it void the fast? Because it's something injected and it reaches the stomach, they said. It goes inside someone and it reaches the stomach, they said. Based on that, according to that opinion, and it's the opinion of Imam Ahmad and the majority of the ulama, that it voids one's fast. Based on that opinion, the analogy, the qiyas is, everything that enters from any entry point voids the fast. Mouth, nose, anus, anything that enters from any entry point breaks one's fast. Ibn Taymiyyah differed with the majority here. He said, hukna, injecting something into the anus, does not break the fast because it's not considered food or water. It's not food or water. And the only thing that we have proof on is that it's gotta be food and water. The Quran and Sunnah state food and water. So he said that's not part of it, and he disagreed with the majority of the ulama. And he said also he doubted whether it even gets absorbed by the stomach or reaches the stomach. However, medical doctors now explain, if you read about it, how some kind of medical anal injections reach the small intestines and how the small intestines absorbs them. It appears that anal injections like that used for medicine, Ibn Taymiyyah and not the majority is most likely correct, is closer to being correct. It doesn't break the fast, even if it's absorbed by the small intestines. Because let me give you this rule and it'll help you a lot. Matters that are strongly disputed among ulama, if the ulama doubt strongly, the ulama, not us, whether something voids a fast or not, we resort to the principle, the origin, that it does not. Because we always need proof that it negates. If someone tells you it negates, you say, where's your proof? Sometimes the rationale are strong or derivative directly from proof. The next one he says, أو اكتحل بما يصل إلى حلقه. The final one for today is applying kuhl, the ancient eye cosmetic, around or inside the eye. بما يصل إلى حلقه. The stipulation that it has to arrive to the throat. And likewise, just like we say about kuhl, which is the ancient eye cosmetic, whatever women use today, similar to that, the same ruling applies. There's opinions on that. The first opinion is by Imam Ahmad in the madhab of the Hanabila, and it's as the book states, if the kuhl reaches the throat, if it reaches, look at that stipulation, if it reaches the throat, it invalidates the fast because it becomes like food or water. And the ruling of food or water, the ruling on food or water applies to that if it reaches the throat. The second opinion is by Imam Malik rahimahullah. He said kuhl breaks fast whether it reaches the throat or not. The first opinion, only if it reaches the throat. The second opinion by Malik, it doesn't matter if it reaches the throat or not. The third opinion by Abu Hanifa, al-Shafi'i, and Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahumullah jami'ah, they said even if it reaches the throat, it's not one that nullifies the fast. It doesn't void the fast because it's not food or water. The last opinion is probably the correct one, and it's the more likely the correct one. Why? Let me give you the proof for why I say it's correct. There's no proof from the Quran and Sunnah that says kuhul invalidates fasting. So we resort to the origin, like the rule I told you, that it doesn't negate fasting. Number two, because eye is not an entry point to the stomach. It's like putting something in your eye or putting gel or oil on your hair or Vaseline on your flesh is possibly the same thing. Keep in mind, there's a hadith or supposed hadith that the Messenger ﷺ used kuhul in his eyes while he was fasting. And Tirmidhi said there's nothing authentic on this matter in the books of hadith. So some will say, what about eye drops? What about eye drops? Is that the same ruling? If you put eye drops and it stays in the eye or it goes directly down the throat, that doesn't invalidate. That scenario compares to kuhul. If you put it, stays in your eye, goes directly down the throat, you're in good status. It's like kuhul. The second thing is if it goes to the mouth, then you swallow it, then it goes down, that means it invalidates your fast. We'll stop here. Jazakumullah khair. There's no time for questions. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad wa